This week, we're talking about how if you are not freelancing on Upwork in 2021, you are missing out. It's going to be a fun conversation. Are you ready? Let's go. What is up, self-maders? Welcome to another fun-filled, action-packed episode on the Self-Made Web Designer podcast. And, you know, there's not anything more hotly debated amongst freelancers in the freelancer community than the idea of whether or not you should be working on Upwork. Okay, maybe there are other things that are more hotly debated, but this is a big issue. This is like Android versus iPhone. This is PC versus a Mac. Should you be on Upwork, or is it a waste of time? The naysayers say it's a race to the bottom. You're not going to find any good clients. And other folks say, hey, there's a lot of good opportunities on Upwork as a freelancer, as a web designer, as a web developer, as a UX designer, as a JavaScript developer. You name it, there is good opportunity there for you. And I am a pro Upwork freelancer. I've had a lot of great success on Upwork, and I've helped a lot of other folks have some really good success as well. So I thought I'd take some time and just chat about the 6 biggest reasons that I have found why you should be working on Upwork, freelancing on Upwork in 2021. It's going to be a great conversation, a lot of fun. I actually have a course coming out to help you learn how to be a top-rated and top-paid freelancer on the Upwork platform called Upwork for Web Designers. If you're interested in that course, go to upworkforwebdesigners.com. Sign up for a waiting list, and you're going to get more information coming up very soon, my friends. We got a lot of great stuff cooking that I am excited to share with you about. But before you determine whether or not you should try to be a high-paid freelancer on Upwork, you should probably determine on whether or not you actually want to give Upwork a go. So without further ado, here are 6 big reasons why I think you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021. Are you ready? Let's go. You know, most freelancers or folks, when they encourage people to stay away from Upwork, they typically have like a horrible scenario or a horror story that they've experienced or somebody else has experienced. So that's one part of the story, folks who have tried it and had a tough experience. The other part of the story are folks who haven't necessarily given it a really good shot, a really good chance to actually make some decent money. And so before we dive into the 6 reasons why you should be freelancing on Upwork, I just want to say there are a lot of really successful freelancers on the Upwork platform. There's folks like me who are making 4-figure projects, you know, $6,000, $7,000 projects on Upwork on a pretty consistent basis. There's folks like Morgan Overholt who made $500,000 in the course of just a few years. There's folks like Josh Burns, who we've had on the podcast, who has made somewhere like $100,000 to $200,000 on Upwork in his free time. This was part-time, right? And so there is a lot of folks who have somehow figured out a way to just absolutely crush it. The truth is that whether or not Upwork is a good experience doesn't have anything to do with the platform. It has to do with you. Now, hear that again. Your experience on Upwork will either be good or bad based on you. Based on how you approach it. There are a lot of opportunities to work for some pretty bad clients and get paid next to nothing on Upwork, okay? But there's also a lot of opportunities to work for some really great clients who are more than willing to pay freelancers what they are worth. And the same is true no matter where you're trying to find freelance clients. That's true on Upwork. That's true out in the real world. And in case you aren't watching this on YouTube, I just did quotes on the real world. So if you want Upwork to be a great experience like it has for myself and many others, then that is 100% possible if you approach it with intentionality and a healthy mindset. I believe that platforms like Upwork are only going to continue to get bigger with greater and greater opportunities for freelancers. So in this episode, I'm just gonna break it down. I'm gonna break down all the reasons why I believe you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021. And I'm even going to talk about some commonly misunderstood things about the platform, some common objections that I hear. So the good news is that all of this is coming from personal experience. I've been freelancing on Upwork since 2015, and I've personally seen the platform improve more and more over time. And when I started, I had hardly any experience in the skills that I was freelancing with. Upwork gave me the opportunity to grow my skills and get paid while I was doing it. And then I went on to start earning $4K to $6K on projects as a web designer. And this was only in a matter of a few years of even learning web design in the first place. And here's the good news. This doesn't have to be a unique scenario. My story doesn't have to be unique. There's nothing special about me as a freelancer. In fact, I was pretty horrible at first. I made a lot of mistakes. At one point in time, my job success score went down to 79%, which if you're not familiar with the platform, that's the equivalent of being a leper in the olden times, right? Like stay away from the guy who's got a 79% job success score. So if you're asking me, you should definitely be freelancing on Upwork. And here's why. Number one, it's the biggest freelancing platform in the world. Here's a few crazy stats about Upwork, okay? First, it has 145,000 core clients. That's not the total amount of clients on the platform. That's something they call core clients. And core clients are folks who have spent $5,000 or more in the past 12 months. Here's another one. Last year in 2020, Upwork processed $2.5 billion worth of payments from clients to freelancers, right? That's astronomical, okay? And of all the clients on Upwork, 30% are Fortune 500 companies. That means that you have an opportunity to be working with Fortune 500 companies, right? Companies like Microsoft, GE, Dropbox, Airbnb, and many others on the platform who fall into that category. So what does all of those stats mean for you? It means that there's a ton of opportunity for you as a freelancer to find really good projects, and you definitely should be freelancing on Upwork. And that opportunity is actually only getting bigger. In 2015, a company named McKinsey, and you're probably familiar with them, they're a very big name, reported that online freelance platforms like Upwork could add $2.5 trillion to the total GDP, meaning it's a growing section of the workplace. And we're not just talking about clients that you do a project for and never hear from again. I've had clients that have stuck with me for years from the projects that I've gotten on Upwork. Some of them keep me on a monthly retainer. Others come directly back to me when they have a new project. Others come to me and say, hey, Chris, you did such a great job. Can you help my friend who has a business? And don't get me wrong, other platforms like Fiverr and Freelancer are great, but their numbers don't even really come close to the numbers that Upwork has. They are literally the biggest freelancing platform in the world. So if you're wondering which freelancing platform will give you the most bang for your buck, you better believe that it's Upwork. Okay, number two, the second reason why you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021 is that Upwork has nothing but warm leads. You know the difference between a warm lead and a cold lead, right? Cold leads are potential clients that don't really know you and weren't actively searching to hire someone to do the kind of work that you do as a freelancer. These types of clients are pretty tough to win over. Have you ever tried? I have, and it wasn't fun. In fact, it was downright miserable. I basically got hanged up on and cussed at, okay? You basically have to reach out to strangers who look at you as the equivalent of a telemarketer interrupting their family's evening meal. And on the off chance that someone gives you the time of day, you're not done yet. You have to follow up again and again, giving away a free advice and potentially never seeing anything come of it for years. Upwork, on the other hand, has nothing but warm leads. Every day, there are more and more projects from clients who are basically saying, this is what I'm looking for. Now, pitch to me. Upwork has taken out the process of turning a cold lead into a warm lead. You don't have to spend months or even years building relationships that you hope one day turns into an opportunity. The opportunity is there for you instantly. Now, don't get me wrong. Here's a little subscript. This is a caveat. There is something very important about building relationships as a freelancer and having a network that can be a source of referrals. But why can't you build that network of people while getting paid through the projects that you win on Upwork? That's what I did. Whether or not your clients on Upwork become a one and done scenario depends entirely upon you. If you develop a relationship outside of the project, follow up with them consistently after the contract is over, you better believe you're building a network. And you did it all from the projects that you got paid for. And so it all depends on you as a freelancer. Upwork is just giving you the platform to do just that, to build a network while you're getting paid with warm leads. Number 3, the third reason why you definitely should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021 is that clients come to you. Since starting Self-Made Web Designer, I've not freelanced a ton. In fact, I gave away one of the highest paying projects I would have ever had to a friend of mine because I was too busy. It was actually a $10,000 project and it came from Upwork. And I'm definitely second guessing whether or not I should have handed that off. But despite the fact that I'm not actively freelancing on Upwork, I am still getting invitations to interview for projects almost weekly, so sometimes multiple times a week. When you first get started on Upwork, you've got to be the one going out to find clients. They don't necessarily come to you. But after a while, and in my case, a very short time, when you build your reputation as a freelancer, you won't have to work very hard to find clients. They actually reach out to you directly. When a client fills out a job posting, Upwork suggests a few freelancers to invite directly to apply. And if a client likes what they see, they send that job posting directly to whichever freelancer they choose. So imagine having qualified leads who know how much you charge and the kind of work you do show up in your inbox every single week. That's the exact scenario that can happen for you as a freelancer on Upwork. Does it take some time to build a reputation? Sure. But it's probably not as bad as you think. I had my first direct invitation to interview on Upwork 1 month after I signed up. Then at 6 months of freelancing on the platform, I started consistently getting multiple invitations to interview every single week. So don't let a little bit of effort deter you from what could be a consistent source of projects for the rest of your career as a freelancer. You're either going to be trying to make that happen on Upwork or off of Upwork, right? So you get to choose whether or not you want to try to do it on the biggest freelancing platform in the world where you've got tons of warm leads and other great opportunities, or if you just want to try your hand out in the wild with folks you've never met before at networking events, so on and so forth. All right, number 4. The fourth reason why you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021. Upwork is actively marketing to tons of business owners. What's your marketing budget as a freelancer? It's okay. You can tell me. Just whisper it into whatever speaker you're listening to this podcast on. Okay. I'm sure I'll be able to hear somehow. Okay. So whatever it is, Upwork's is $96 million. That means that if you ever thought the word Upwork in your head, like not even out loud, some algorithm somewhere picked up on it and sent you an ad online. Okay, I'm going a little overboard here, but suffice it to say, Upwork puts a lot of effort and cold hard cash toward getting out there in front of business owners. Yes, you have to pay Upwork fees out of the money that you're making from the projects that you get. And a lot of people will tell you not to work on Upwork because of the fees that they take out. But if I can be a bit controversial here, that might be one of the strongest reasons why you should freelance on Upwork. Upwork takes a good portion of that money and puts it to work for you through things like marketing. And another thing is that they have a vested interest in seeing the platform succeed. And Upwork succeeds when freelancers succeed. That means that both of your interests are right in line. And this is the exact thing that Adam Smith was talking about in his book, Wealth of Nations, right? When there are two aligned interests, both people work in the same direction for each other's good. So in my opinion, the fees that you pay are well worth the price that you pay for doing business with clients on the Upwork platform. I've worked with people from all over the world. I wouldn't have had that opportunity to connect with as many clients from as many parts of the globe as I have if it weren't for Upwork. You're able to get in front of the type of clients you never dreamed of having access to, all because Upwork is actively marketing to tons of other business owners to the tune of $96 million. Number 5, the fifth reason why you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021. The Upwork system provides a lot of security for freelancers. There is no system that is 100% hassle-free when it comes to getting money from clients. There are a lot of things you can do to put some guardrails to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. Things like good contracts, good communication, setting expectations at the beginning. But when it comes down to it, if a client decides to screw you over, it's going to be tough for you. And you can take them to court, but trust me, it's a long and arduous process. Upwork has some things in place that really help to ward off some of the troublesome scenarios you might face as a freelancer working with clients. For instance, if you work on an hourly contract, Upwork will have the client's credit card on file with their permission to charge them for the work you do automatically every single week. On fixed price projects, they have something called milestones where you and a client can determine at what point you'll get paid during the project. When the client funds that milestone, that money gets taken out of the client's bank and put into an escrow account for safekeeping. It doesn't go to your account. It just stays in the Upwork ether. In other words, they don't have access to it, and neither do you. You don't just do the work in blind faith, hoping that they'll pay you someday. You can see the funds in the Upwork escrow account for the milestones that you are working towards. I had a friend who finished the work a client had asked him to do on Upwork, and then that client became unresponsive. He was still able to get his money because it was in escrow. He requested it, and 14 days later, it was in his bank account. And if for some reason a client disputes your request, it doesn't just go away automatically, right? There's a mediation process. In other words, there are a lot of safeguards for you as a freelancer when it comes to doing work and getting paid. So can you get screwed over? Sure, it happens. But there are more safety nets available to you than there would be if you were freelancing on your own. Number 6, and the final reason you should be freelancing on Upwork in 2021 is that the job market is changing. It's pretty easy to see the shift that is happening in the workplace today. More and more workers are looking for flexibility in their schedules and autonomy over the careers. And at the same time, companies are increasingly engaging outside consultants and contractors to help them build their business. And what do we call those outside consultants and contractors? Those are freelancers. Look at Upwork's numbers alone. In 2019, they brought in $2.09 billion from money that they paid to freelancers. Then in 2020, they brought in $2.52 billion in money that they paid to freelancers. That's a 24% increase. That is huge. That shows a trend of companies seeing the value of hiring freelancers to work on projects and using platforms like Upwork to do it. You couple all of that with the fact that it has become so important to have a diversified stream of income, right? You're not just getting your entire salary from one place, right? You've got your full-time job, and then you've got some other things that you're able to do in case something happens with that full-time job. And you've got a very strong case that can be made that you should absolutely 100% be freelancing on Upwork. I've known so many people who have lost their jobs or had their income drastically decrease because of COVID. I've had a lot of conversations with folks who have listened to the podcast, who have emailed me and said, Chris, I just lost my job. I'm trying to be a freelancer. And while the worst of most of it is likely and hopefully behind us, it's not hard to think of something in the future that could potentially disrupt the job market in a big way like COVID did. And that's why I feel like freelancer platforms like Upwork are going to be a mainstay. And I'm not trying to paint a doom and gloom picture here, okay? I want to do the opposite. I want to show you just how much opportunity there is for you to freelance on platforms like Upwork. There's never been a better time for you to create a free account on Upwork and start bidding on jobs. This puts you ahead of the curve and the change that is definitely happening with the way we work and the companies that do business with you. All right, the bottom line is you should be freelancing on Upwork. Hopefully, I've given you some good arguments. And if you're not currently doing it, I'm kind of helping you think a little bit more deeply about whether or not you should give Upwork a try. Most of the people that I have found that have negative things to say about Upwork haven't really made a solid effort to become successful on the platform. They've tried a little bit, but they just kind of wrote it off when they didn't instantly have success. Are there things that suck about Upwork? 100%. But there are things that suck about every workplace environment, whether or not you're paid full-time or try to go out on your own full-time and do nothing but network marketing and build a lot of relationships and build a business that way. There are downfalls to any type of way that you do it. So your experience of Upwork will be what you make of it, but it won't be because of the platform itself. After all, it's the biggest platform in the world, and they're constantly marketing to more and more people to make it even bigger. They go a long way to make it a safe place for you to earn money from clients. And if you do it right, you will one day have clients coming to you without having to go find them. But more than anything, you have nothing to lose. You could sit in the background without ever really trying, just wondering if you could be the next Upwork success story, or you could just go for it. And I think that you should go for it because I think you are going to crush it. All right, that is it for this week's episode. Hopefully I've made some pretty compelling reasons for why you should just go out right now and apply to be a freelancer on the Upwork platform and see what happens. And if you have questions along the way, let's keep this conversation going. Why don't you shoot me an email, or you can sign up for a time to chat. I will leave a link to my calendar in the show notes, or if you go to selfmadewebdesigner.com, scroll all the way down on the homepage, there's a link to my calendar there to set up a 15-minute conversation. I would be happy to look through your profile, talk about how you're pitching to clients, or anything and everything. If you just want to have a cup of coffee with me and just chat, I'm happy to do that too, because honestly, I love connecting with listeners. Well, next week, we've got another great episode coming at you, and it's coming in hot. Midnight, Wednesday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We should just have a listening party. Why don't you and I just stay up? We can have a 15-minute call at like 11:45 p.m. We can drink something together and we can just listen to it. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, maybe I'm being a little too weird. I don't know. Hey, I hope you have a great week. I hope you make some breakthroughs as a web designer. Keep on going, keep on working hard, and don't forget, if you don't quit, you win.